Alright, so there was so much time in between that cut there. So I was like, I've been walking around. I think I officially recognized that I've already surpassed my limit on gummy worms. I started to feel that. And I was moving around, so I was like, have it. Grab the display. So, Spike Spiegel, the Space Cowboy. This is the first one. I saw some that I really want to get. Some Resident Evil ones that I'm just like, I need to have it. There's one of it's the scene where the zombie like comes out of the closet in the original Resident Evil, and it's basically the frame is like a landscape. It's a landscape, but it's a TV screen, and like inside the screen is that scene of Resident Evil. So it's like you're playing it on an old school TV, and I was like, something about that just looks good. Or maybe it's just the ring around. Maybe it's not like the full TV, but maybe you can just tell by the edges or something. It was something like that. It was fairly minimalist, but I was like, it just something about that. I was like, that's cool. Like you're looking at it as it would have looked, if you were playing games back in the day. And something about that, just I guess seeing that, having that mental image of being like, that is old. That is a set time in my life. I guess being able to see it as that, as just even a visual thing that I recognize, that warp, and it's like that imagery is nostalgic for me, and it's very interesting, the ins and outs of the human mind. But I definitely want to get that one. There's a really cool Sonic one that I saw where he's like running, and classic Dash is like a bright orange and blue one. That looks so cool. I was like, I have to get that. And then there's one of Resident Evil 2 that's like an old B movie poster, and it's like the monster movie sort of print, and it says like Resident Evil 2, and it's a big, especially because I like Claire more than Leon, but it's a big image of Claire like pointing a gun, and like Leon's a bit smaller, and I'm like, it's the way it should be. And everyone beneath Claire, except for Jill, of course, Almighty Jill, and then Claire's number 2. Let's see. I like Rebecca. Rebecca's good. Can't forget Shiva. But I don't know. At some point I'll have all my little displays and whatnot. So I figured I'd show this off. Boom. Spike Spiegel. And then the last thing I want to do, because of course if you probably couldn't tell, I don't know what I was talking about when I ended that last piece. Those gummy bears, those gummy worms, were just a way out. I was like, I'm so parched. Let me end this right here. I forgot. I'm sorry. That's just how it is. But to end this out officially, I wanted to show this off. This is me being an uber nerd and meeting the one and only Leah Thompson, Back to the Future. If you're not familiar with my Invisiblekatana channel, you will note that much like how I wear this for this channel, this is like my channel hat for this side. It's my pink soccer. As long as I'm wearing the right hat, that's what it is. So for my original channel, it's the Back to the Future hat, part 2. So like the rainbow. I forgot the actual term, iridescent. The iridescent hat. So it still is technically like the channel hat. I've gotten into buying, for a lot of the things I review. Like when I was reviewing Clone Wars, I would of course wear my Star Wars hat. So because I have some of the franchises. Actually I should have shown that off. That would have been a cool thing. I haven't actually gone through like my official technical hat collection. Maybe that'll just be a video to do. Maybe sober, maybe high. Who the F knows? Either way, I do have like different hats and stuff now. But my original hat, so Back to the Future 2 hat. As you can see, I also have the jacket. I have the hoverboard, which is right there in that box. I have to actually take it out. Like I moved some stuff around, and then I think I actually put it back in the box. It was out, and then I put it back. But yeah, so got this picture at the first and one of 2 Michigan Comic Cons. It was a convention that took place in the summer in downtown Detroit at what is now the not TCF, maybe TCF. It's Kobo. It's gonna be Kobo. Kobo Hall, because I'm gonna be that old person. It's like, oh, we're going to TCF. Oh, you mean Kobo Hall? That's gonna be a grandparent thing. That's something I'm gonna say to like, well, heck, I don't have to say it to my grandkids. I can say it to my kids, because I'd be like, well, them growing up, if you have kids, it will never have been Kobo Hall. Like people will still say it, so it'll probably still take an extra generation, but eventually it'll fade out. Where it's like, oh, that's TCF. Like Kobo Hall will eventually just be, oh, that, yeah, it's the TCF building, but it used to be this thing. Like, as a part of Detroit history, it used to be Cobo Hall, but right now, it still is Cobo Hall. That's for our Detroit people. History is weird. Makes you think about time and stuff, especially while you're high. Anyway, love Back to the Future. So that was the hat, and then I got the jacket, hoverboard. You can't see it, obviously, no legs, but I do have the shoes. I do love those shoes. I would love to have the actual shoes. I, of course, don't have Nike Air Mags for $1,500 or whatever they are selling for on eBay. I would love some. And I'm still mad that they made those freaking sneakers with the technology for, like, you know, where it was kind of expensive, but I'm like, but you have the technology, you just didn't do the design. Because you know what they could do? They could just make the shoe so that we can buy it and still put that towards the charity. Like, people will still probably buy multiple pairs because it's still the Back to the Future shoe. Like, it's one of those things where I'm like, I genuinely believe in the sneaker market. That is the one thing, and maybe that's just because I love Back to the Future, but I think in the sneaker market, the Back to the Future Nike Air Mags full-on replica with the technology in it, I think you could flood the market and you'd still be selling. Like, I feel like Back to the Future is in that class of classic film. So that's my personal opinion on that. I wish they would do it. I wish it all the time, because I want to put my foot in a shoe that looks like Marty McFly's shoe in 2015, and it just goes and it zips in. And I would love, especially somebody in Michigan needs to invent this. Like, this is an us thing, but somebody in Michigan needs to invent the actual drying jacket and it work. Like, that has to be a Michigan thing. I know there's some other places that experience crazy weather, and technically I've only ever lived in Michigan, so I'm sure there are other states with their own memes, but I don't know your memes, so they are not correct. That's, you know, me being a human being, and I have my tribe. But because of that, pure Michigan and whatnot, and it's pure Michigan-ness, we need to invent that. That needs to be an us thing, because you don't know. It needs to heat and cool, and it needs to do both, and it needs to also spray deodorant at random times during those couple of weird moments during the year, and you just got, like, bam, emergency deodorant, because you probably need it, man. It's been like 2.5 minutes. So we, you know, sometimes Michigan hits us with some things that we're never prepared for, and I would like to direct anyone who has not lived in Michigan to the Pure Michigan parody videos on YouTube. That is exactly what happens every year. It's kind of like, I feel like Michigan has, because I hear a lot of people say this for other YouTubers who are like in LA and stuff. They mention, specifically JK News, they talk about it a lot, where people who say, like, oh, everyone in LA is so fake. But then they, you know, them being from there, they mention, like, you know, it's actually the transplant people who were the fake ones, because everyone came here for that. Or, you know, a giant chunk, you know, that's the Hollywood dream. People, you know, a lot of people, especially specifically in that media business, that's what that is. So it's not, you know, like, that very specific industry is the melting pot of media. You know, it's always everybody. So it's just really interesting, like, to have that. Oh, I freaking lost it. It was there. Oh, it was such a smart topic, and it died. Sometimes, and this amazing stillness that I feel from these amazing drugs is a blessing, and sometimes it is a curse, because I cannot remember what I was going to say. Something. I got it. I brought it back. Yes. Back to the Future. Okay. So, how they have the transplants. Oof, man, this is good. So how they have the transplants, they those are the fake people. I feel like we kind of have that for winter drivers, where we have, like, the transplants and stuff, except it's idiots, and it's just the people who still live in Michigan. And I don't think anyone comes here and ruins our traffic. I think it's us. I think that's an us thing, and we really need to stop that, because we live here. But every year, somebody is just like, what is snow? Oh, and then there, boom, crash cars, madness. I actually recently saw like a legit, like not funny, realistic car crash. I didn't see it happen, but the way my apartment is set up, I'm actually like facing a freeway service drive. So, and this very specific spot of the freeway, it's not low, it's like, ground level, so I can see like past the freeway because it's flat. And I saw like, traffic was backed up as I was coming, down my steps, and I was like, oh, something for real is happening because it's a pandemic. There is no rush hour. It's an accident, and these cars, and they both happen to be like smaller cars. I don't think anyone was actually hurt. It looked like everything was fine. So just to say that, I definitely saw two of the people who were in one of the cars. Neither of them had any issues, but I didn't see a third person. And so those could have been the two separate drivers, but I don't know. It was such a distance away. So this is that weird police statement sort of deal. I don't really know, but it seemed like they were close from my distance. That's the best I can say about that. So those could have been the two drivers, but it could have been just the people from one car. So I don't know how far into it where I actually saw things, if I missed an ambulance for the other person. But those cars were kind of small, and one, the front was crushed up, and the other, the back was crunched up, and they were both like, that was high impact for sure, or as high impact as it needs to be, to crush. And then of course the one that was crushed inward in the front, the airbags of course were all over. I need to sit up straight. Dad always slaps my back leg. Sit up straight. Oxygen is better up here. It makes you feel good. Makes you feel like, clean, stuffy air. When I get high, my nose gets stuffy. It's a weird side effect. I say that a lot, but I feel like it needs to be said because it's weird. But yeah, weird dichotomy and whatnot. We have that, except it's just us. We're bad drivers in the winter. I'm not. I've had my few moments. I remember I did a full spin. I think I've done a full spin. You tend to laugh at death sometimes, I remember I was going to college, U of M Dearborn, going up the ramp, and ice. I was like, up ramp ice. That was a new experience for me. It was I was going just fast enough to where the angle didn't affect me falling, cause me to go backwards. I was like, just fast enough. And then of course, because I caught it, just spun. I spun. Maybe I didn't do a full spin, but I think I went like a quarter of a circle, and then I had to like basically drift it backwards. But I think I may have done a legit spin, and if not, it felt like a legit spin from what I can recall. The excitement of the spin, because I had my little swerves where like whoa, and this was like going around the turn, and it's just full tilt, like video game drifting, spinning the cars around. And I was like, okay, and you just laugh. And I was, once you get through it, you have that hysterical laughter, like Joker laugh, where you're like, is it even worth anything? And you get real existential for like a quick second, and you just laugh like a maniacal villain. So you get that every once in a while living in Michigan, and just that winter hits, you get a new perspective on life every time. But I wanted to show this off. Leah Thompson, super cool. Got a picture with her. Michigan Comic Con is no longer a thing. The Cowboy Hall stuff, history and whatnot. Interesting. That's where I was at. Cowboy Hall. First one of two. It got canceled after the second one, and I kind of wish I went to the second one. Also, at this very first one, Michael Biehn was there. Terminator. Kyle Reese. Super cool. Sean Bean. I was like, I don't think it's Michael Biehn. Sean Bean, I'm pretty sure. Also, Aliens. Was he Game Over Man? I think that was. I can't think of his name. He passed away. I think it was the other guy though. But either Michael Biehn, Sean Bean. I can't remember. I want to say Michael Biehn, but either way, Kyle Reese. Also, fun fact. Metal Gear on the Nintendo, that screen is actually Kyle Reese. Like it's the Terminator image of him with the shotgun, but it's like redone to look like a laser weapon. That is actually him on the Metal Gear cartridge. So fun fact for video games. But I want to show that off. That was super cool. But Michael Biehn was there. I think that was his name. That was really cool. Mel Flanagan, English voice of Naruto, super cool as well. But this is the other thing. Along with the picture with Leah Thompson, I also got an autograph from Leah Thompson. Super cool. and this is my variant cover print of the first issue of the Back to the Future comic. I actually have a couple of reviews. They're old, but I think I reviewed like the first 3 or 4 issues. I was also reviewing the Back to the Future cartoon at one point. I was trying to review every single episode, and I just never ended up finishing that. But same with this, I never ended up finishing reading it, so I need to get like the full volume collection and stuff. But super cool. I just love the variant cover. I wish I had the original, because I think because it was supposed to only be 5, and then it was his freaking Back to the Future, which once again, you can flood the market and it'll work, because we don't get Back to the Future stuff. But I was like, I would love it to have gotten all 5, because they make one giant picture. But I was like, I can't pass this up. Like the references of Marty, like in the Darth Vader from Planet Vulcan suit. It's it's an old school like newsprint comic. I think somewhere on here it says Peabody, and it's like the kids, the son, old man Peabody, Twin Pines, which was turned into Lone Pine Law. His son, it's like one of his comic books. So I always thought that was super cool. I was like, I can't not get it. It has like the fake stains and stuff. It's like, I love that. Like I just loved how it looked. I was like, I love the old school style, even though it's genuinely like a reference to a scene, but it's that crazy alien. Like that's the point of the style. It's an alien thing, because that's what the kid thought he saw, and that's a cool idea. And I'm like, that's super sweet. So I was like, I have to get this. I have to get this version. So I'm super happy I got that. And it's just one of the ones where it's like, because it has that newsprint look on the front, it almost looks better, with a signature. Like it almost fits better. It's super cool. And the reason I wanted to actually end on this one is because I realized if I had to choose, I would keep this over the picture. And I was thinking about that before doing this, or kind of ending this last little piece out. And I realized I think it's because with all the pictures, that people have, where it's always like, everyone gets a picture with someone. You can see someone totally random on the street, and sure, you probably get an autograph, but more likely than not, you're going to ask for a picture. Everyone always has a picture, but I think I don't know, it almost feels like this weird caveman, like old-timey brainwave thought, where it's like something about the written word, it just feels more special. Like you write the same, but it'll never be the same. Like it's interesting. So I don't know. And of course, technically no picture is ever the same, but it's something where it's that weird blend of just who you are and how you grew up to have that signature. Like I don't know. It's like a weird, way out there mentality, subconscious type crap. I'm just like, something about the way someone does that. Like some squiggles, and how they define spelling their name and how they make it look. You can easily find 20 people, how many people, I think I referenced them enough, but Dave and Chuck here in Detroit, and they're also in Boston and Florida. And you can of course find them online, Dave and Chuck the Freak, 101.1 WRIF. I just love them, so I always will say the whole thing. But Dave on the show is Dave Hunter, and he's like, there's a million Dave Hunters. And so the thing about that is, every Dave Hunter will write differently. And that's the interesting thing. You can always have a million people write the same thing, but it's not the same thing. And I don't know why. I feel like that's more special than a picture where it's literally the same thing, but just visual. I don't know, it's weird. It just doesn't feel as common, so it makes it feel more special and personal. I don't know. Wanted to end on that note, because I don't know what it was. Something just made me think about that. Like, I'd rather save the comic for its styling and the representation of everything. And maybe that's a part of it as well, because it is the Back to the Future comic, and it's not just her, even though obviously the picture with her is because of Back to the Future. And maybe it's because I see Back to the Future, I see the logo, I see the reference to the scene, and the fact that it encompasses all these other actors that I wish I had autographs from and pictures with. And, it's like Star Wars. It's something about it is all encompassed in more of an image of the thing than an image of one of the people that was a part of the thing. I guess it is because it's the Back to the Future comic, and it's not the Leah Thompson comic. You know, like I think that's what it is. It's more the person. Even though I love the role that she played, she did fantastic in it. I think it's still more, you know, it's Back to the Future. Even if Lorraine is my favorite character in Back to the Future, Back to the Future comes first. You know, it's that thing. Like, I think of Back to the Future. It's just like, you know, Itachi's different. But you'd probably think, oh man, Itachi. Oh yeah, Naruto. That could happen. It's Itachi. But for most things, you'll think of the show, and then you'll think of a character within that show. That's normally how it plays out. It's the bubble, Sesame Street. And then, you know, Snuffleupagus was an imaginary person who they later retconned to be an actual thing, and that's real. So, you know, it's that difference. But, just wanted to end on that note. So, thanks for checking out part 2. I feel like I went through my official crazy high mode. I think I'm coming out of it. Feel nice. Very nice. But thanks for checking out part 2. Once again, I would still love to know what crazy nerd items you guys want. I actually wanted to do a video because weeks ago, I cleared out some of my old toys from my dad's garage, and it's like all my old 90s toys, and I was like, I have to do a video on like all my old school toys, so I'm gonna do that eventually. I don't know, excuse me, if that'll be a high thing or if that'll be a sober thing, I'm not sure yet, but eventually I'm gonna have like my 90s toy cache, you know, my little retro thing, and just go through. I have like a Jar Jar Binks toy from like Burger King, and it's the little lily pad Jar Jar Binks where you screw up the vac and he's on the giant lily pad and he like flaps through the water. So if you remember that, yeah, if I just blew that image straight back into your brain from the 1990s, there you go. But eventually that's gonna end up happening. But either way, want to know what you guys have, had, want, what do you hope gets made after all this craziness is over. And just in general, what are you just looking forward to, I guess. So stay safe out there. I don't think I said that in the last one, but stay safe out there. It's extra wild, you know. A few weeks ago, they've been like, stay safe, you know, that virus. And now it's like, stay safe. Because these protests are going places. I don't know what that means. But I look forward to it. I look forward to hopefully progress. That's all I can say is hopefully progress, because I don't know. I don't know if it's gonna settle this time, and that's interesting. Didn't mean to end on like that crazy, you know, serious note there, but the times we are in. I do hope you're staying safe all across the board. Hopefully this was fun. Until just now, where I, you know, sucked you back into reality. Sorry, I tried to ease you into it, I guess. But hopefully this is some sort of entertainment for you guys. Like I said, I want to know what you guys want, but blah blah blah. Like the 4th time saying it. And all in all, thanks for watching.
You hungry? I'm hungry. I'm hungry. I'm hungry. You hungry? Yeah, I'm hungry. Like I'm hungry. I'm hungry. Like I'm Shaggy. Man, I'm hungry. Man, I'm hungry. I'm hungry. Yeah, man. You hungry?